Well, that's a roundup of the situation with PVC distribution across the country. But today we narrow it down to Lagos, and the resident electoral commissioner for INEC joins us this morning, Mr. Akin Orebiyi. Thank you for coming on this morning.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Bring us up to speed. What is the current situation about the PVC distribution in Lagos today?
The distribution of the PVCs is ongoing in all the 245 collection centers across Lagos State. Lagos State has 245 wards, and in all the wards we are distributing as we speak. And people are coming out, but we are not particularly satisfied with the pace, with the rate at which they are coming out. We received late last year, 4 million permanent voters cards, and as we speak, maybe just about nearly 2.4 million have been collected so far. We still have in our, with us nearly about 1.6. So we are urging the people. We've been going out, urging them. We've been in the media. We've had stakeholders meetings. We've gone to the grassroots. Again and again, we're even doing road shows. We have our senior rover vehicles outside there, urging people to come out. We've also left our telephone numbers open. If you have any issue concerning PVCs, they should call us. And they've been calling even me. I've been directing them to where they should collect these cards. But I don't know whether people are so busy, but they think they could come in at the last time, in the last minute to collect. But I must also admit that we are expecting on the whole 5.9 million cards in Lagos.
5.9.
Exactly, out of which we have 4 million now. So it is quite possible that some of those who have turned up at the collection centers are those whose cards are yet to arrive. But happily I can say this at the moment, about 5 vans came in last night, about midnight, to Lagos, carrying some of the PVCs again. We haven't taken stock, but I think by the end of today we should know how many have come in and how those who may come out to collect theirs. People who registered last year, I need to say this, should still be patient with us. Some of those who've been coming several times are people who only registered late last year. Their cards are probably the ones that have just arrived.
How many PVCs does INEC have in their custody that has not been distributed?
About 1.7, as I said. 1.6, 1.7. It's a daily thing, so about 1.6, 1.7.
You know, for some residents, they're a bit confused as to where to go to get these. Because if we say this chunk amount of PVCs are with the Commission in Lagos State, it then means that perhaps some of them don't have the faintest idea of where to go. Some still go to the polling booth where they registered. When they go there, obviously nobody is there. So where can they go to?
You are right. It's quite possible that some people are confused about where to go. What we've done, originally we were distributing at the 20 local government INEC offices. So we pasted notices there about where specifically, if you live in a particular area, which is closest to you, that's where you should go. That's one way. And
so let me get that straight. If,
yeah.
Maybe I registered in polling unit A. When I go to polling unit A, I'll see an advertorial that tells me where to go to?
No. Let me explain. There's a world of difference between a polling unit, a ward.
I'm talking about registration point, I beg your pardon.
Yes. You know, registration took place at 2 different points, at 2 different times. In 2011, we registered at the polling unit. Last year, those who had to re-register had to register at the ward level. And even those who are registering for the first time last year, because it was a continuous registration exercise, different from the general registration exercise we had in 2011. As such, quite a number of people registered at the wards last year. And also last year, the interesting thing is that some of those data that were lost in 2011, we had to ask those who are affected to come back and re-register at the polling units. So we have a substantial number of people who registered at the polling units yet to collect their cards, and we have people who registered at the ward level too, who also have been expecting their cards. But at the moment, we are not distributing cards at the polling units. We are distributing only at the 245 ward centers across the state.
Is INEC scared that this election could face a legitimacy crisis?
If I understood you right, there is no need for any fear. We're not afraid, we're not scared, because if you look at the moment, we could say, apart from the issue of the PVCs, practically every other aspect of our preparations has been taken into consideration. And for example, we were meant to have released the register of voters 30 days to election. We did that on January 13. We meant to have released a list of nominated candidates for various parties. We've done that as well. We are receiving now non-sensitive materials. I mean, smart card readers are coming in by the day. Ballot boxes, we receive them, and a number of other things. So there is really no cause for alarm. We are not in any way scared about our ongoings concerning the conduct of elections.
The reason I asked that question is if you're talking about 4 million cards,
Yes.
which 2.5 or 2.2 or 4 have been collected already, you still have about 1.6. Now, out of that 2.5, assuming the figures, I mean, we're sincerely hoping that the figures will improve, that's the figures of collection. But if we're to go by previous data statistics, they say that about 30% of that figure, 30 to 40% usually turns up on election day. Do you think that we will get a representative enough number, to say that this truly reflects the will of Nigerians?
Well, two things. In the first place, Nigerians would like to leave things to the last minute. So we still expect that quite a number of people will come in towards the election days to collect their cards. That's one. Two, we are not expecting anywhere anything close to even a 90% collection of the cards. First of all, some of those people registered in 2011, they've passed on. Two, some people have left Lagos, and Lagos has been, generally by its nature, is also a transition point for quite a number of people. So if we in Lagos are able to recollect about 80-85% collection, I think it's positive enough for us to go ahead. At the moment, out of the 4 million, as I said, we've distributed about 2.4. There's about 60% really. But I believe with the new ones coming in by next week, there have been a lot of people who've been coming to our registration centers to ask for their cards. We expect next week, by the time they begin to collect theirs as well, the number will surely shoot up.
I think that's some form of good news. But again, if you look at it critically, it's partly the fault of INEC not to have actually gotten everything as at the time they went out closer to the people. Is it too much of asking INEC to go back to closer to the people, maybe for a weekend, and say, INEC is coming back to the booths or to the registration points just one more time?
It shouldn't be too much if we have the funds. But we don't actually have the funds. We don't. Because in Lagos, for instance, we have 8,462 polling units. If you need, and people have observed that one person cannot do it well, so you need about 2 persons at each of your polling units. Even if you don't pay them anything, you pay them 1,000 naira per day. That's 8,465, nearly 8,500 times 2. You are talking of some 17,000 times 1,000 again. You are talking for a day about 17 million or thereabout. 2 days, about 34 million or so.
Because if I'm to chase my own card, it will mean I will go to about 2-3 places before I find it.
No, you don't have to. Interesting, let me cite an example. And there are several, because I released my personal number out there about 2 weeks ago. There was somebody who sent a text. I prefer text anyway, I took text. The gentleman sent a text that his wife just put to bed and therefore might not be able to go. So I replied to him. I said, well, let your wife take her time, but close to the end, she should be ready to go. And when she's going, she should be accompanied by someone. That was last week. Yesterday, I got a text from the gentleman again that they were ready to go. And I replied, where precisely? He said, this local government. I said, okay, before you go to the local government, could you call this number? And he did call the number of the electoral officer there. In the night, I'd even forgotten. Before I slept, I checked my phone again, and I saw a text. In fact, it was full of praises for INEC. You people are good. If only people knew what you were doing, this and that my wife had collected a card, and this is beautiful. I still have a text. And he's not the only one. Quite a number of people like that.
When is the deadline for collection of PVC or distribution of PVC as well?
By now, we live by the day. because originally it was meant to be tomorrow, 31st of January. But then, as I said, we received 5 vehicle loads of cars this morning, and as such, we don't expect that we'll be able to distribute them and end everything tomorrow. And I think the Chief Press Secretary to the Chairman has also said that there could be an extension, and expect that automatically there's an extension. Let's take the day as we roll by. One day after the
Is that
next.
within the Electoral Act or INEC guidelines?
Oh, definitely. There's nothing that stops us from, as the chairman has said about a week ago, from even distributing on election day, but we won't do that for logistic reasons. But I'm aware that in Osun, August 9 was the governorship election last year. We distributed until, was it August 4, August 5? And people did come out to collect about 3-4 days to the election.